Hey guys, and welcome to Aussie Reviews. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about how to get a collector's license here in Queensland. Now, why would you want a collector's license? How many of you out there would love to have like a Remington 870 shotgun or another Category C firearm, like for example a Ruger 1022? You see them from time to time on different websites, online here in Australia, selling second-hand ones. How would you like to be able to legally buy and own those firearms? You can do it on a collector's license. People don't realise that, and they think that everything on a collector's license is just permanently inoperable and you can't use a thing. That's not true. So what I'm going to try to do, guys, is just clear up a few myths in this video and just get the correct information out there so that you can make up your own mind on whether or not a collector's license is for you. Now, before I start, guys, if you want to have a collector's license and just simply go out and just shoot in the paddock and all the rest of it with firearms on a collector's license, seriously, it's not even worth the risk. Don't worry about doing it. You cannot do that, okay? You can only use firearms held on that license in accredited events as authorised on your license, okay? So what I mean by that is if, for example, you have it for military reenactments, and you can use a firearm for that. If you just got it for private collection purposes, if you're a member of an accredited historical society or club and they have some sort of accredited shoot on, then you'll be able to shoot there if endorsed on your license to do that. Okay, so I won't get too complicated or too deep in that, guys, but basically the bottom line is a collector's license is simply for collecting firearms, not so much the usage of firearms. Okay, that might not suit you, that's fine. All I'm doing is just getting the information out there for you. Okay, so what can you collect on a collector's license? Here in Queensland you can have every category of firearm on a collector's license. It just depends on what that category is, to whether or not it has to be either temporarily inoperable, in other words a trigger lock fitted to it, or permanently inoperable. So if you have A, B or C firearms, you can have them as temporarily inoperable on a collector's license here in Queensland. So that means simply all you got to do is just put that trigger lock on it and put it in the safe and you're good to go. Okay. Now it depends on how many firearms you have on a collector's license to what the security requirements are. But for like your A, B, C firearms, it's as low as just your normal standard security that you would have on like your shooter's license. Okay. In other words, a compliant safe. If you then go up in especially different categories, it then requires greater security, which is all under the weapons regulation here in Queensland. Okay, so once again, I won't get too deep in that, guys, because I don't want to confuse you here. I just want to get the basic information out to you. Okay, now if you want Category D firearms, or you want Category R, which is obviously your full automatic firearms here in Queensland, you can't have semi-auto centerfire rifles or full automatic machine guns that are temporarily inoperable. I wish we could. In New Zealand, on their collector's license, they can have fully operating, fully automatic firearms, but not here in Queensland or Australia for that matter. So, in other words, you have to have them permanently inoperable, and they're still subject to storage requirements. Okay. Now, Category H is a little bit different. With Category H, you've got two options. You can either have them as permanently inoperable. No problem there, you'll get that license fairly easy from what I've seen with applying myself. If you then go to temporarily inoperable Cat H handguns, then there's more hurdles to jump, and you must be a member of an approved collection or historical society. Okay. Now you also have to look at different storage requirements there as well. Like I said, a little bit of reading for you guys to do, but this is just the basic information for you. Now, for example, a lot of people will message me and they'll say, I'm not a dealer, I don't want to start a pest control business, Aussie, I don't even have a farm, but I would love to have Category C. Well, you can apply for a collector's license there, so you can have permanently inoperable Cat H, Cat D, Cat R, but have temporarily inoperable Cat A, B and C. The only thing that you'd have to do if you had a normal A and B license to then apply for that license is simply go and do a Category C safety course and then just fill out your application. You don't even have to be a member of a historical club to get a collector's license for just temporarily inoperable A, B and C. So like I said, guys, if you want to be able to get yourself, you might see some collectible like an old Browning A5 semi-auto shotgun on, like used guns or something like that. Like, you can do it. You can put in for a PTA and you can purchase that on a collector's license, and it's completely legal. Or if you're one of those guys who just, really hates having to go to the range with your Cat H firearms and do the 6 shoots a year, then you can have a firearm, Cat H, on a collector's license, and it doesn't require any of that, okay, because you've got it for collection purposes. You're also not restricted to magazine capacity limits, okay, so no 10-round limit like there is on a sports license, okay. You don't have any of that. You can have your 15, 20-round mags, no problem at all. There's also no problem there with the barrel length minimums. You don't have any of that. You're not subject to that. And also you're not subject to any of the caliber restrictions, okay. So in other words, you don't have to be only shooting in accredited events to get up to 45 caliber. I mean, you can have a 50 caliber handgun on a collector's license. None of those sports restrictions apply on a collector's license. But keep in mind, guys, as I said, you can't just go out to a range or anything like that and just start using it willy-nilly. It must be an accredited event authorised on your license for you to partake in as a collector, okay? So guys, I hope that sort of gives you a little bit of information about it. Now the next question you'll probably be asking is, well, how much does it cost? It's one of the cheapest licenses to get. It's the application fee like any license, okay, which is roughly about $95 at the time of doing this review. But then the collector's license per year is only $14.85, okay, so roughly $15 a year to maintain. That's it. That's all it is, guys. So I've had one for years. It's great because, when you're generally wanting to collect firearms or parts, like for example, you might really like some of the magazines from like the Second World War, like the M1 carbine and the Gram and stuff like that. Well, you can collect those magazines, for example, if that's what you're into. Okay, so there's heaps of options available for you. Like I said, you can go the full hog and get the temporarily inoperable handguns as well, or you can just stick with the permanently inoperable handguns, permanently inoperable Cat D and R, and just go for the temporarily inoperable A, B and C if what you really want is just A, B and C temporarily inoperable firearms. Because my personal view on it, guys, is when you go permanently disabling or making a firearm permanently inoperable, like the value just goes. There's nothing left in it. It's just a hunk of steel. So for me, I would never ever do that to a firearm. Therefore, I would never pay good money for a permanently inoperable firearm. But for me, A, B and C, like, if you want to collect, like I say, Cat C, then you can do it. All you got to do is just put that trigger lock on. So if you want to sell it later down the track because it's a good investment, well, you haven't damaged it in any way. So you can see where I'm coming from here, guys. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed the information review, guys. That's pretty much it. If you've got any other questions, put them in the comments below, and hopefully myself and other collectors will be able to address them and answer them for you. Alright guys, we'll catch you next time.